Hey everybody, welcome to Friends Church. Alessandra, this is Adam.
Morning.
And this is a little strange. This is the second week that we're attempting this. There are just a small few of us here in this big room keeping our distance, being really, really safe. And we just wanted to bring you a Friends Church experience, bring you something familiar, but also something new, and just to be together apart. So we're going to sing some songs this morning. Adam and I have written these songs, but they take on new meaning suddenly in the light of this circumstance. And over and over again, each line pops out in a different way to me. So if you know these songs, you're going to probably experience that too. And if these songs are new to you, then I think they'll resonate in a meaningful way, I hope. So this song is called Left Foot, and it's about doing what's right. I think a lot of us are being called to do what is right these days, to do what we can by staying home or staying apart, staying safe, and supporting the people that need support. And this song is really about that, making the right choice and doing what's right as a community.
Left foot, right foot, and all goes together. Doing our best to try to be better. We're trying to do what is right. We're learning and building our mind. 1 year, 1 month, 1 day, it all goes by. Next thing you know, we're falling behind. We better do what is right. Standing to fight. Mother, sister, brother, and father, people, we've got to get it together. It's time to do what is right. We're stand for what's right. Sister, brother, and father, people, we've got to get it together. It's time to do what is right. Oh, we better stand for what's right. Oh, we better stand for what's right. Oh, we better stand for what's right.
This next song is called My Joy, and it really speaks to that idea of, well, the first line is sleepless nights. and that idea of like here we are with these things that are swirling in our heads. And we were talking earlier, a few of us, about how we're doing, and everyone was saying, it comes and goes, these waves of anxiety or fear, and each minute, each hour can feel different than the next, and also because things are just changing so quickly. And so in those sleepless nights and in those moments, I find I take stock, and I have my joy list. And so the song is really about that, those feelings of sleepless nights and listing your joy. And that's what this song is called. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sleepless nights, they don't comfort me. Endless fights make the world what it's meant to be. Breathing in, breathing out is all I can do. On the days when I let go of what I gotta do, and I hold on to this truth that you are joy. You are the laughter in my belly, and the ever-changing rhythm in my chest. And you are so, you are the tears I never cried. You're the reason I keep asking why. Let me see beyond my ignorance. In this life, let what is beyond than happenstance. I can feel you stirring in my soul. You created a movement I cannot control, and I hold on to this truth that you are joy. You are the laughter in my belly, and the ever-changing rhythm in my chest. And you are joy. You are all the tears I never cried. You're the reason I keep asking why. On the face of a mountainside, in the pulse of the ocean tide, every time I spoke a word of love. In the eyes of my best friend, in the curves of the palm of my hand, makes me think I might give it all for love. You are joy, you are the laughter in my belly, you're the ever-changing rhythm in my chest. And you are so, you are all the tears I've ever cried. You're the reason I keep asking why. On the face of a mountainside, in the pulse of the ocean's tide, every time I spoke a word of love. In the eyes of my best friend, in the curves of the palm of my hand, make me think I might hear that all of love. In the eyes of my best friend, in the curves of the palm of my hand, makes me think you're more here than up above. Thank you, 3 people. I'm sure you're applauding from your bed with your cup of coffee. Cheersing us, everybody. Thank you. The next song we're going to do is called Unraveling, and I still chuckle when I listen to these lyrics and think about the context now. This idea of pulling a thread, and it all, you pull the thread and everything unravels more and more and more, and you're like, no! And I think it feels that way right now. Every morning we wake up, more things are shutting down and things are changing, and it feels totally like an unraveling. People are losing their jobs and the businesses are shutting down, and it feels like, how will we come back from this? And the song speaks to that. Now we got to get it back together again. And I think the song that we follow up with on that it's called I Rejoice. And to rejoice means to celebrate. And I don't know that many people necessarily feel like celebrating right now, but this song says, I rejoice in the up and down. I rejoice in the how and why. And the song also speaks to uncertainty, like how will I know what lies ahead? I'd rather seek presence than answers. And so that's how these songs two kind of go together today. And I think they fit really well in what we're all going through, and we're all going through it. So. I'm ready.
Doubts and fears, you keep struggling to find a way, feel like a kid again, a little lost but learning, round and round it goes, always spinning, pulled apart to start at the beginning, find your answers, get lost in the great unraveling. Now we gotta get it back together again. You pull one thread, you find your world on another land. Take one step back, you find nothing's really holding you back. Round and round it goes, always spinning, pulled apart to start at the beginning. Find your answers, get lost in the great unraveling. Now we gotta get it back together, and oh, you know, you got it all figured out. Oh, you know, you're left in so much doubt. But you know, you flow in and out. So round and round it goes again. Round and round it goes, always spinning, pulled apart to start at the beginning. Find your answers, get lost in the great unraveling. Now we gotta get it back together. Now we gotta get it back together. Now we gotta get it back together again. How can I know what lies ahead? I'd rather leave worry and seek presence instead. I give thanks to the giver and the maker of life, who's created the beauty that has opened my eyes. I rejoice in the how and why. I rejoice in the up and down. I rejoice in the dusk and the dawn. I rejoice in what is and is gone. What do I have to leave behind but treasures that only my heart could find? I would rather share life as a beautiful gift, every day seeking means to restore and uplift. I rejoice in the how and why. I rejoice in the up and down. I rejoice in the dusk and
Good morning, everyone. This is the part of our service where we take an opportunity to give back and to financially support Friends Church and to keep this place that we call home healthy. We are so very lucky that we have had something called pre-authorized giving within our church for quite a long time. And in the last year, we have really worked to increase the number of pre-authorized givers. What that means is it's an opportunity for members of this for our community to give every week or give every month, and that we set that up in a way that seamlessly on your credit card once a month, your gift to Friends Church comes right off of that. That puts us in such a better place than so many other churches in this city right now who are so reliant on the passing of the plate in the very old school kind of way. So I want to reach out and say thank you so much for those of you who are on pre-authorized giving. What I also want to do is offer an opportunity for those old schoolers in our crowd to still give to Friends Church. There is a chance right here today on the website. If you're watching on the website, just up in the top, I think it's going to be this corner, but it might be that corner. There's a button that says donate. Feel free to click on that. If you're watching on your TV, on YouTube, or on Facebook Live, don't worry. Open up your phone and right in the app, there's a button that you can donate and give to Friends Church. This is an incredibly difficult time. I mean, we've said it a million times this week. How many times have you turned to your friends, neighbors on a call and said, these are unprecedented? They really are. First and foremost, we are worried about making sure that the people of this church, this community, are healthy and safe. And secondly, we turn to make sure that our church is healthy and safe. And so in this time of need, if you can give more to enable us to maintain a healthy church so that when we all are able to come back here and be together, we will be stronger than ever before. Thank you so much. Now Vince is going to come into the camera and I'm going to leave to maintain our appropriate social distancing at this moment.
Thanks, Kelty. Welcome, everybody. Good to have you here with us. I had an incredibly bizarre experience on Friday. I was in a room with like 40 other people, and there's people standing really close to me. And after the last couple of weeks of social or physical distancing to stay safe, being in a room with people just felt insanely odd. I was actually giving blood. I donate plasma every 2 weeks. It's one of the ways I take water. And I assumed that they would just cancel my appointment with everything going on, but I got an email saying, no, we absolutely need plasma right now. So I went in and had this incredible experience of, on the one hand, my brain and all the kind of the safety part of my brain, the primitives, was what we talked about last week, is saying stay home, stay isolated, don't talk to anybody, don't be close to anyone. And yet I'm in a bed with a needle in my arm and a nurse basically like touching right against me with a whole bunch of other people in the room. And I realized something pretty profound in that moment. I realized that when my primitives are active, they want things really black and white. You always stay home. You never go out, right? That's really easy. But here I am donating plasma to make sure that people who need plasma, it doesn't matter what's going on, they still need it. They get it. And I realized something, that when we live in primitives, our thinking is really, it's really black and white. But when we can bring those ambassadors into our lives, we start getting the nuancing. Saying, mostly we stay home. Mostly we distance. But you know what? It's not all the time. So here's what I want to invite you to do. There's still a tremendous amount of threat in our lives, just with people and risk and everything going on. Just start being conscious of when your primitives are asking for black and white. Maybe even watch for other people. When you see them saying, we always have to do this, we can never do this, this has to be the way it is, this can never be the way. And if you're brave, maybe talk to some people in your life. Ask them, hey, where am I black and white? Where is it like my way or the highway? And just watch for where those primitives are taking over your life. Because for me, I think this is the time where we need to nuance everything. Because we've never been here before. So it's going to take a lot of thinking and a lot of deep thinking. And at Friend Church, we try never to give a black and white answer to anything. It's always deeper than that. I want to thank you also. We did a big hamper push a couple weeks ago saying, there's a lot of people getting laid off, tremendous amount of people. And we want to make sure that nobody ever goes without food. And so we said you can donate to, if you go to Friend Church, local water, all the money is going to go to hampers for people who are in need. Well, the donations were overwhelming. We're at $6,300 as of a couple days ago. I'm not sure exactly what it is today, but that's an incredible amount of money in this time. And so I just want to start by saying thank you. Thank you for being generous. Thank you for saying, how do I take water in this situation? What we're going to do with that money is actually, we don't have 63 people in need right now. So we went back to the same group that we sponsor food hampers for at Christmas, Connections Counseling. They're an incredible group. They work with families and parents who are developmentally delayed, but still want to keep their families together. So these are parents who are cognitively delayed, but have kids. And so they're on support, they're on AISH, and really they have no way to kind of get ahead at this time. And so with everything else kind of narrowing, we said, wouldn't it be amazing if we could just bless their lives? The counseling agency was thinking of putting together one meal for each of their families. That's all they had funding for. Well, based on the timing, we're looking at doing 50 to 100 meals through the hamper program that we have to make sure that those families and those kids don't go without food right now. So if you want to be a part of this, go to the Donate, Local Water Fund, and if you've been a part of this already, I just want to say a huge thank you. You are making this world better. And now, please, everyone get up and give a big round of applause for Jeff Jarvis.
Oh, it never gets old. It never gets old. I don't know where you're laying down right now, if you're wearing pants, but I hope you were clapping along. I feel the love. Good morning. Glad you're joining us. It was so cool sitting on my phone while this was all going on and being able to see everyone kind of weighing in. And hey, just want to say a bunch of hellos to Rod and Tanny. Just got back from Australia, so great. South Africa. There's people watching from England, UK. So just, hey, welcome and glad you're joining us this morning. Question. Have you ever said the right thing at the right time for someone who is in kind of a world of hurt, and it just kind of lifted them? It just did something wonderful to them, and you could see it calm them or made them happy or whatever. You ever done that? You know, I've done it every now and then, but I tell you, I've got more stories of me not doing it. In fact, saying the wrong thing at the wrong time, psyching someone out. Kathy, I feel so bad when I think back the number of times she walks in with some shopping, she pulls out some blouse or some pair of shoes, and she's so excited to show me, and before I know it, I've just asked her how much that cost. And I can see her grinning, laughing, and it's just like she picks up the stuff, and I'm like, hey, babe, I didn't mean that. And gone. She comes home from work one day, upset. She starts telling me what's going on. And I'm listening, and before I even can catch myself, I'm already saying things like, oh, wait, what did you say? Oh, you didn't say that. No. Okay, hey, just a second. Here's what you're going to do tomorrow. And as soon as I start into this, I'm cutting her off. She's going, no, Jeff, you don't even get it. You don't even understand. I'm saying, no, Kath, listen to me. This is what you got to do. And she's getting frustrated with me. And I'm saying, Kathy, listen. And then before long, she's just like, you know what, forget it. I'm sorry I even brought it up. I thought this one time, I had said the right thing. She was on her way to work. She got in an accident, little minor fender bender. She calls me. She was coming down the hill in Edgemont, slid into a guy. She calls me. She's upset. I'm like, what's going on? She goes, I just got in an accident. And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, the guy pulled out, and I hit the brakes, and I said, shh, babe, it's okay. Shh, it's all right. All that matters to me, babe. I'm on the phone with her. All that matters to me, babe, is that you weren't at fault. You weren't at fault, were you? Oh, okay. Hey, that was good. No, I didn't say that, but there's times when it's like that. I'm saying, and then she's upset again. I'm like, what? No. I am a master at saying the wrong things at the wrong times. But I've watched people who are ninjas at saying the right things. My son, Austin, came home from a weekend away out in Kelowna with his brothers. He said, Dad, Jaden's girlfriend, ninja. I said, what? You wouldn't believe. She's like the horse whisperer with Jaden. She knows how to say the right things. I'm like, really? I hadn't met her yet. Now, I have 3 boys, Jaden, Austin, Carter. They're in their 20s, and for the most part, they get along okay now, give or take. But growing up, my youngest Carter and my oldest Jaden were like gas and matches, man. Carter, it was like sport for him to get under the skin of his oldest brother. I mean, you could hear them up in the bonus room day after. It was like Groundhog Day. You'd hear Jaden going, Carter, stop. Carter! And you'd get fired out. You could hear them in there. And Carter would just be giggling or laughing or whatever. And then you'd hear the threats start. And then the next thing you know, Carter's squealing like a little pig. And Jaden is pounding him. And Kathy's screaming at Jaden to stop hurting your brother. It was just like an ongoing, it was like clockwork. You could almost describe what was going to happen next, play by play. Anyway, so fast forward now, many years. Jaden's now living out in Kelowna. He's got this girlfriend. And we just hear beautiful things about her. He just raves on her. He's fallen head over heels. The 2 brothers go out to Kelowna to spend a weekend with their brother, the summer, you know, being boys, out on the beach, probably having more fun than they should. And Aaliyah is tagging along with them all weekend. Austin comes back and tells me the story. He said, Dad, it was like Sunday afternoon. Probably both Carter and Jaden had maybe a little too much to drink. But Carter is up to his usual shenanigans. He's chirping Jaden, and he's taunting him, and he's getting under his skin. And I'm laughing because I'm going, wow, this is like the good old days. And he is giving it. And Jaden starts laughing and whatever. He's like, yeah, that doesn't bother me, whatever. And then all of a sudden, it just hits that critical mass. And he says, you can tell Jaden's like, oh, and Austin's saying, I think they're about to scrap. And it's at that point, and then enters Aaliyah. Aaliyah leans over to Jaden and says, I was wanting to know exactly what he said, because he says it was like the horse whisperer. So, well, what exactly did she say? He says, I can't remember, but it was like, you know, you're going to let your little brother, who's just teasing you about something stupid. He's just trying to get to you. Whatever she said, it was something like that. It was like, all of a sudden, he said, Dad, Jaden came back too. I mean, he was breathing red. All of a sudden, smile comes back on his face. And it's like, Carter's using everything he can with his voodoo doll to get Jaden. He's like, oh, I'm going to. Nothing. Jaden was just laughing along. He's going, come on, buddy. You can't. Austin said, I have never seen anyone have that kind of power over Jaden. It was like she knew the things that just calmed him right down, brought him right back. Have you ever had anyone do that for you? Like, to be able to look at you at a time when you were upset, or maybe freaked right out, maybe something really bad. Maybe it's just been in the last couple weeks where you got blindsided by some news you didn't expect. And you're there in this world of hurt, and then someone looks at you, takes one look at you and says something, or does something. And all of a sudden, you can just feel the clouds starting to lift. Have you ever had that? Let me ask you something. Have you ever done that for someone? Have you ever been able to look at someone and just tell by what they're giving off, we got a situation here? And then using some skill set you got inside you, you were able to pull them out of the darkness, or calm them down, or get them laughing. Have you ever been able to do that? that right there is what I want to talk about this morning. I called this message The Art of Pleasing and Soothing. Is that not a sexy title or what? That was all me, folks. That was me, all right? You can tell your friends, man, that guy, he comes up with some crazy good titles. How do you do that better? You know, I've talked with people, and some think that it's just kind of the luck of the draw. You end up with someone who happens to be like a soulmate to you, you know, the Anne of Green Gables kindred spirit. And you just finish each other's sentences. You just say the right things. That, you know, it's just kind of a magical happening. If you happen to know the right person, or you happen to have that kind of chemistry, then maybe you can do it. But if you don't, well, the experts seem pretty unanimous in saying, actually, you can learn how to do this. You can learn how to have that ability on someone to be able to do it. How do you do it, though? How can one learn to do this better? Well, basically, the experts say you just become an expert on that person, whoever that is. Now, I'm going to use the word partner a lot this morning as I walk through this. But really, this isn't exclusive to your spouse. You don't have to be married to do this. You don't even have to be in a romantic relationship. Likely, you have someone in your life who you would love to know how to be the spouse whisperer, or the son whisperer, or the parent whisperer, or the best friend whisperer. You have someone in your life who, maybe you're like me with Kathy. You would love to be able to figure out how to do it better for that person. So every time I say partner, would you just kind of think of whoever that person is in your life? Because I'm going to circle around to that in a little while, asking you to do some things. Really, the experts say, they simplify it. They say you just need to learn what makes your partner feel bad and what makes them feel good. At its most simplified form, that's really what it is. What's, like, at some point, when you become an expert on this person, when you really begin to figure out what makes them feel bad, what makes them feel good, it's like you stop saying things like, what's the matter with you? What's wrong with you? Why are you doing this? Those statements go away. You never say those anymore. Because once you become an expert on this person, you're able to look, and with a few quick questions, you can summarize in your own mind without asking any questions what may be going on. This was so freaking fascinating to me. You stop asking those questions, and you start kind of rolling through what they call a cheat sheet. You develop a little cheat sheet on the person, and you can scroll through really quick and then go, I'm pretty sure it likely is this. I want to talk this morning about developing a cheat sheet on your partner. All right, it all begins by figuring out your partner's vulnerabilities. By vulnerabilities, I'm not talking about the little pet peeves that person may have. I'm talking about the deep-seated insecurities that exist under everything that they may be thinking or feeling or doing in a moment. See, insecurities underneath everything. In his book, Wired for Love by Stan Tatkin, he tells the story of a couple named, he calls them Simon and Peggy. They're an older couple. Simon is 70, Peggy is 60 years old. They've been married for a long time. But he gives us a little background information about Simon and Peggy. He says they were both only children. In their families, they were the only child. They also came from very troubled childhoods. Simon's mom had died at birth, and his dad gave him up for adoption early on. But his adopted parents who took him in, they ended up separating within a year of adopting him. So then they hand Simon to his maternal grandparents. So now his maternal grandparents take him in, but they're financially strapped. So he could tell right from early on that he was kind of a nuisance, a bother to them. right from the get-go. At a very deep level, Simon, even without understanding it, developed this underlying insecurity that he could be left at any time. It started way back in his childhood, but now here he is 70 years old, and he still has the same insecurity. He also had this low-level anxiety that he was the cause of other people's problems and that others couldn't trust him. 70 years old, trailing from the way things got started when he was a young boy. Simon is what we would call a classic wave. And according to attachment theory, he's anxious. He's anxious about attaching with other people. For waves, there are 3 or 4 common vulnerabilities. I'm talking about the cheat sheet. You got a wave in your life? I'm giving you some golden information right now. Waves typically will have 3 or 4 very common vulnerabilities. Number 1, they have this fear of being abandoned by their partner. They can't help it. It's cooked into them from a young age. Secondly, they have a fear of being separated by their partner, that they will leave. When their partner goes away on a long trip, there is an anxiety that just naturally happens for waves. They also have a discomfort of being alone for too long. And fourthly, they feel like they're a burden to people. You can meet waves who are waves. They may not even understand this about themselves. They've never realized it. It's just things that just happen. They feel in the midst of life. Okay, that's Simon. This is what Stan Tatkin tells us about him. Peggy, on the other hand, she's an island. Peggy's father left her when she was 5. Her mom never remarried, but her mom was busy. She was always working. So her mom would leave her in the care of her aunt. Her aunt didn't have kids and kind of was easily annoyed by Peggy. So she would even put her in a room, kind of lock her in a room, say, hey, I want you to stay in there. I just need a little peace and quiet. This was typical of Peggy's upbringing. So here's Peggy, 60 years old. This is 56 years later. And she's still unaware of a belief that she holds that she has to do everything alone. She also, at a very deep level, doesn't feel like she can count on anyone. This is island behavior. She also feels very uncomfortable with other people's expressions of emotion. She doesn't know why, but when people start crying or getting overly excited with her, she gets very awkward. Why? If you look back at her early childhood, she was never allowed to cry. Her aunt didn't like that. So she learned how to suppress it. Now, when people get all anxious or showing emotion, feels very uncomfortable. Peggy is an island. Let me tell you a few of the vulnerabilities of islands. Again, I'm giving you gold for free, okay? Common island vulnerabilities. 1, they hate feeling intruded upon. Islands, because they like their own space, they like to be in control of their environment. You come rushing in on them. You say, look, I need you right now. That will make them shudder. They don't like feeling trapped or out of control. They hate that. They hate too much. They have a fear of too much intimacy, uncomfortable with it. So when someone comes into their space, when they're all over them, when they're huggy, kissy, often you can see islands kind of tweaking and freaking. It's like, whoa, what are you doing here? Last thing I'll mention, common vulnerability of an island is they have a deep fear of being blamed. That's Peggy. So let me tell you the story. They're traveling in Europe recently. They're getting ready to go on a big train ride. So they're on a train car. The train isn't going to embark for a little while. They get all set up. Peggy kind of takes off looking for coffee. There's no coffee on the train, so she goes into the train station. She's looking at the time. She knows she has 15 minutes. No problem. She goes off, fades into the crowd to find coffee. Meanwhile, Simon is on the train, and he's not even sure where exactly Peggy went. He keeps looking down the aisle, and he's watching his watch, and he's going, what the heck? We're supposed to be leaving in 10 minutes. She's been gone for like 5 minutes. I wonder where she is. He's getting a little nervous. Waves do that. All of a sudden, it's like 5 minutes from departure, and he doesn't see Peggy. He's freaking now. He's running up and down the train looking for Peggy. He can't find her. He jumps off the train, and he's kind of walking through the crowds. He's going, oh my God, someone's taking. All these stories starting to cook up in his mind. He's going, where the hell is Peggy? All of a sudden, out of the corner, he sees Peggy come around. In the midst of the crowd, she's holding 2 coffees. Doesn't matter. He freaks out, Peggy! Peggy! And Peggy's like, where are you? Where? And all of a sudden she catches his eye. She holds up the coffee. She comes over. He says, what are you doing? What were you thinking? The train is about to leave. She's walking through the people. She can sense the people looking at her. She gets up to him and says, why are you freaking out? Embarrassing me. I can't believe you would do this at this time. And she's like, chill out, lower your voice right now. She is so upset. She throws the coffee at him and goes onto the plane. Not the same, or onto the train. Not the same car where everything's set up. No, she goes to a different car. She's sitting, and he's looking at him. He's mad. He's like, screw you. So he goes back to his normal seat. There they sit in different cars for 2 hours on the train ride. 2 hours to cool off. Well, they do cool off. As soon as the train embarks, obviously, Simon gets up nervously and goes back and finds where she is. And you know what? Not a whole lot is said. Life kind of goes on. They kind of just push this up, but neither one of them really has any idea why that just went down that bad in the train station. And that has been a pattern for most of their marriage. Freak out, they're both angry, and then they just kind of, whatever, let's just move on without really understanding or knowing how to prevent that. Let me ask you something. Let's go back to Peggy, just because she was the one that left first. She's learned enough to know that Simon gets a little antsy when she's gone. What could she have done a little differently to soothe or to help Simon as she's leaving? Just, what are some thoughts that she could have done to ward off that potential scenario? Well, maybe she could have been a little bit more clear about where she was going, what she was doing. I mean, maybe she could have said, hey, look, I'm just heading out for a coffee. I think there's one around here or whatever. When she didn't find one on the train, maybe she could have just circled back quickly and said, hey, look, there's no coffee on the train. I'm heading out. I'll be right back. Maybe she could have just said, hey, look, I got my phone on me. You can track my location. I ain't leaving. I'll be back in 5. If I'm not, call me. I'll tell you exactly what's going on. If I have any problems, I'll call you. She could have looked at him and said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just getting coffee. Let me ask you, what could Simon have done differently with Peggy, his island wife? Well, for starters, because islands have a strong dislike of being intruded upon, screaming out her name in the middle of the crowd. Now, I don't know of many people that enjoy that, but islands especially, he could have just waited till he got up close. And then tried to quietly, hey, I know he was triggered, his primitives were freaking, but if he wanted to help her, if he was thinking about her, he would have waited till she got up close and said, hey, look it. What the heck? I was freaking. Islands also have this fear of being blamed. So maybe for starters, he could have said, you know what? I know you didn't mean to do this. I know you didn't mean to panic me. I was just freaking out because I was worried we were going to get separated. I was worried the train was going to leave and you weren't going to be on it. He could have looked at her. You know, the blame thing? Islands really have this fear of being blamed. He could have said, it's not your fault. This is on me. I'm freaking out. You got coffees. Let me ask you something about the people in your life, that person that I asked you to think about. What makes him or her feel bad? I'm not talking about just the fact that you might leave the lid off the toothpaste, or you might not put the toilet seat down. I'm not talking about those kind of things. I'm asking at a deeper level, what really triggers that person? And probably more specifically, I'm asking, how is he or she vulnerable? You know, sometimes you have to do some real Columbo investigative work to figure out what issues that person may have that stems from something way back that is still dogging them today. You know, I think about Kathy as I've been doing this message. Kathy was the youngest of 5 kids. Kathy, I think you're cool with me sharing this. I didn't ask you about this one. I talked to you about everything else. So Kath, trust me, just this will be good. She's the youngest of 5 kids. She was parented. See, her parents were very busy. Immigrant family from Germany, Ukraine, Russia. They were working 7-Eleven. They were working round the clock. They were gone lots. So Kathy was parented a lot by her siblings. Sometimes siblings do a lot of, Kathy, you should be doing this. Kathy, why didn't you do this? Kathy, you better. I can tell whenever I use the word should or, hey, you better not forget. There's an instant reaction there. 29 years in, I'm still not paying attention to those choice words. Some people will have stuff that has gone on way back there, and now it's just like a knife. Some will have insecurities about their intelligence. Some people were bullied as a kid, and now whenever they feel someone kind of taking a pot shot at them, or they were neglected, or there was a big betrayal in a relationship at some point in their life, and now anything that smells even remotely of something that happened back there. Where is that person vulnerable? Have you thought deeply? Maybe it's not something from your childhood that you will see easily, but maybe there is some incidents that you have had with this person. Think back with this person to a time when you fought. What was it really about? What was really going on underneath the surface? Can you spot different incidents that you've had personally with this person? Think through what did I do? What was said? What was it about? How could it relate to some of these common vulnerabilities? Where is it? What is it? becoming an expert on the person is you begin to build a list of those times, from stuff that maybe you know about their childhood, maybe incidents you've had with people. You start building that list. You go, oh, and then you start looking for commonalities, similarities in the stories. All of a sudden you go, whoa, there is a pattern here. There is a pattern. From the time they were young, this happened. And then when we fought, or when that incident went down, this person said this and this. They were upset about me doing this and this. I'm seeing it. And you spot the vulnerability and you write it down. This is making your cheat sheet. Now, once you spot the vulnerability, then you have to figure out the antidote. It's not enough just to know what the problem is. Now, being an expert on that person, you got to figure out, okay, what is the say? What is the do? What is the thing I can do that will counteract the vulnerability in that moment, that can keep them from reacting? What can take them from that insecure place to making them relax and smiling? Well, let me give you some more gold. If that person is an island, and perhaps there's a fear of being trapped or out of control. They like to be in control. They have this fear of being trapped. The antidote is to give them options. Like I said earlier, you walk up to an island and you say, I need you right now. You might not get the reaction. You might have them cowering or pushing back, saying no, or you know what, not now, whatever. Give them options. If you're wise with islands, you'll look at them and you'll say, hey, look I really need your help. I need about a half an hour of your time. Now, we could do it now, but we don't have to. If that doesn't work for you, could you do it tonight or maybe even tomorrow? Is there one of those that would work for you? Watch the different response. Maybe that person, if they're an island, fears intimacy. Too much intimacy. Pay attention to the levels of comfort that they have with affection, with how close you are. If you watch them kind of pull back, those are signals. Maybe this is someone you're romantically involved with and you're always frustrated because you go up and you surprise them and you give them a big hug and they kind of go ironing board on you. Maybe what you could do is just ask them, is that annoying when I do that? And be okay with their answer. You might want to just ease in and say, are you comfortable if I grab your hand? Would you be okay if I just gave you a big kiss right now? If it's your boss, you might want to apply a little judgment there. No, don't do it with your boss. Okay. If the person is a wave, let's just talk about that for a second. And there is a fear of perhaps being separated from you. The antidote, I mean, we are blessed in this day and age to have technology. But you can just say, hey, look track my location. You can know where I am at all times. Or maybe in the middle of the day, you're busy, just fire off a little text and just say, I'm thinking about you. Hey, I got a window of time between 3 and 4. If you're available, I'd love to talk to you. For a wave, to feel close, even looking at them and just saying, you can call me at any time. I had this situation. My oldest son, Jay, is a wave. One afternoon, I'm in a meeting. It's the same meeting I have with Vince every week, 2 to 4. I turn my phone over and I turn off the ringer. I'm just like, I'm not taking calls. It just so happens at this one particular time, Jay really wants to talk to me. And so he's ringing. He can't get through to me. So he calls Kathy. Kathy's busy, tied up at work. She's not near her phone. Jay is like ping-ponging between the two of us going, what the heck? And the anxiety that started to rise. Well, by the time I turned on my phone after the meeting's over, I'm like, oh no, someone's died. I'm thinking, Jay's called me like 10 times. I get on the phone, I'm like, Jay, this is like, he was 17. I'm like, Jay, are you all right? He's like, where were you? I said, I was in a meeting. I'm in the same, he's like, I'm trying to get a hold of you. I'm like, Jay, what's the matter? I was trying to call you, then I'm trying to call Mom. You guys were, I'm like, Jay, what's the problem? He's like, well, I was just, it wasn't any big thing. But he was wigging. And at that point, I had no idea. I had no wave language. I didn't understand any of this attachment theory. I didn't know what was going on. I'm just like, what is your problem? I'm just saying all the wrong things, right? Firing him up. We're having an argument. All he needed was just to know, I'm here. I'm right here. Hey. So we made a rule. I said, here's one thing you got to know. 1 meeting a week for sure. You will not reach me. It's at this time day. For all those other meetings, here's what I'm going to do. My phone turned over. I'll be watching. And if you ever see me say, sorry, can't talk now, I'm here. Just want you to know that. Poof, went away. Never had that issue again. Anyways, if they have a fear of being separated, that's one thing you can do. Maybe your wave partner, friend, son, daughter feels uncomfortable for being alone too long. You know what? That's simple. Just saying, you can call me at any time. I am right here. You heading out of town and you can feel your wave son, daughter, whoever getting anxious. They don't like the idea that you're going to be gone for a long time. You can look them in the eye and say, look, I don't care how late I get in to the country, to the hotel, tonight, tomorrow. The minute I get in, I'm calling you. The minute I get off that plane, I'm calling you. You watch. So you see what I'm saying? You figure out what they need to lower the threat, lower the insecurity. And you build your cheat sheet. You go, okay, yeah, they do get nervous whenever I'm leaving. What can I do? What can I say? But it's not just about avoiding the freakouts. It's not about just avoiding or the need to soothe the pain. It's also about doing things that will please them, doing the things that will put big permagrin on their face. Let's talk about that. Let's go back to Peggy and Simon. From the time Peggy was young, she received a lot of compliments. I guess she was pretty. She received a lot of compliments about her looks. So she never had any question about the fact that she was attractive. But what's weird is throughout their entire marriage, Simon was always complimenting on her looks. He was always saying how turned on he was by her. But he could never figure out why she was kind of unresponsive to his compliments. He just figured, I must have to do more of it. Then she'll really appreciate it. So he would really pour it on, whoa, do you look good? And he would say all these things, trying to elicit a reaction, to put the big permagrin on her face. And it was always, oh, thank you. He could never figure it out. See, the thing about Peggy was she had a level of security around how she looked. But from the time, she had one event in school where a teacher humiliated her about a mark she got on an exam. And ever since then, she was so insecure about her intelligence. She just, always in her mind, she just felt like she wasn't as smart as everyone. And unfortunately, though Simon had seen bits and pieces of it, he never capitalized on it. He never wrote it down on his cheat sheet. If only Simon would have known a few other key things he could have said that would have lit her up like a Christmas tree. Things like saying, Peggy, you are so frickin' smart. When she's saying something about someplace, catching her and saying, how did you know that? No one knows that. Looking her in the eye and saying, I've always been blown away by how much you know about so many things. Bing! On the flip side, Simon, he believed he was pretty smart. He was. He was a sharp academic. He had done well all throughout school. And you know what? Peggy was always blown away by how smart he was. So what did she say? Simon, you are so unbelievably smart. She was always commenting and complimenting him on his smarts. Well, it didn't do anything for him. He's like, yeah, I know. Well, kind of like, yeah. The thing about Simon is right from the time he was young, Simon believed that he wasn't really lovable, that he wasn't really wanted by anyone. Deep down, he continually anticipated that Peggy was going to leave him. It was just a matter of time. He would never say that to her, but deep down inside, there was this low anxiety. So here's Peggy continually praising him for his intelligence. But if only she would have looked Simon in the eye and said, Simon, you are an amazing man. You are the one I was always hoping to find. Simon, you better never leave me. Because I'm telling you something, as far as I'm concerned, you are stuck with me to the end. Ding! She wouldn't have been able to fight the smile off of his face. You see what I mean? Write that frickin' down, Peggy. Make the note. Remind yourself that's what he needs. As a wave to feel loved. That's what will make him smile and feel excited. Not only will it soothe him, it will please him. Let me ask you something. What would make that person in your life feel really good? Do you have the answer? Have you been piecing it together? Have you been thinking about this person as I've been talking? Have you been making notes? I hope so. I've been throwing out dollar bills of wisdom all morning. You better been writing this stuff down. Do you know what would make your partner feel good? I had a conversation with Kathy last night about this. Friday night. I've been married 29 years. And I'm sitting there asking her, saying, Kath, I continually say this to you because I'm really hoping I'll make you smile. But I'm slow, right? I don't say the right things. But you never seem to react the way. And she goes, Jeff, here's the deal on that. Every time you say that, here's what I feel. I'm like, what? 29 years I've been saying that, and that's what you hear? What can I say? What's the right thing? So then she starts telling me. Now, I'm adult. It takes a while for me to get this right, but I'm writing this down. I'm honing in, and now I got the gold. Now I got the goods on her. I'm going to say, and I'm going to put that smile on her face. Let me ask you something. If we could do this well, if we could, in our interactions with our friends, our partners, our kids, our parents, if what came out of our mouth was the right things again and again, if we were like parent whispers, partner whispers, and we could walk in the room and see someone in a world of hurt, look them in the eye and know, here's something you need to know. I want you to know something. And you could watch them rise out of the fog. And the smile on their face, and you see them laughing again. You see Jaden looking at his brother going, is that all you got? Come on. Could there be anything more spiritual than that? Don't tell me that there's anything more spiritual than our ability to soothe and please the people we love in our lives. So, here's the deal. You may not have been writing down stuff. You might be sitting in your underwear in your bed right now, for all I know. I'm going to make this easy for you. In the show notes of the podcast, I'm putting a document in there. I've ripped it all off from Stan Tacken, all right? It's not my own. I put all this stuff. I put the common vulnerabilities and I put the antidotes in there. And then on the second page, I am giving you room to build your own cheat sheet. Bunch of lines there. You can just start filling it in. You can print it off. You can print off 5 of them for different people in your life. Let me tell you something. You owe it to these people in your lives to become experts on them. I do. I owe it to my kids to know better than to say, what's your freaking problem? Would you invest some time? Do some investigation. And you know what? After you write down a bunch of stuff, then start asking. What would help? And you take some of this information, you apply it. Oh my God. I'm telling you, this is like graduate level relationships. Okay, so that's it. I'm done. And we're wrapping up the series now. This is the final episode of The Trouble with Love. And I hope over the last few weeks, some of this stuff has got you thinking, wrestling with what it is you're doing, what you're doing inside of you, what's going on inside of you, and then now perhaps taking it to the next level, what's going on inside of them. May you and I, may we become better at loving our neighbor, our closest neighbors. This lies, herein lies the gold. That's my prayer for you. Look at this week. We're going to do another post-workout pondering with Vince and Jeff. We did it Thursday last week, but we're going to kind of bump it up to Tuesday at 8. You might want to join us. You got thoughts on this? Maybe you're sitting there going, no, that's BS, Jeff. I tried this, doesn't work. All right, bring your questions. In fact, you know what? Send them to us. We'd love to address them. Be ready and continue the dialogue. We want to become experts on each other, right? Thanks for joining us this week, Friends Church. I want to thank the team that are putting their own health at risk to come in. Yeah, we're following all the rules. We're being careful, but it means a lot. Because I know your families, if you're like mine, they're like mine, they're going, gosh, you got to go out. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for making this possible for all you people out there. And you know, to our Friends Church community, you just got to know we miss you. We love you. We can't wait till the day when we can all be in this room together again. But until then, be safe. Hey, stay home. We'll see you this week.